Ladies and gentlemen, there are some seasons of TV that come along and just have it. Dexter season 4 is absolutely one of those seasons. This season just hits the ground running, and its pace is just incredible from start to finish. I wrapped up this season in literally a day and a half, pretty much. I can't believe I did that. I started it yesterday morning. It's been like a day and a half. I started it yesterday morning and finished it this afternoon. Like, I don't even know how that's possible. I really don't. I'm saying it over and over. Dexter is a series that I've just been plowing through, but this one just stands the test of time and is by far one of the best seasons of TV that I have ever seen. And there are so many reasons for that, and I'm going to get into all of them in this video, but there's so much to keep up with, and especially since I watched it so quickly, this is just going to be a bit of a brain dump, guys. I never got to do reactions of each episode, despite me really wanting to do that, because unfortunately, where I've been watching this show is in a place where I can't just film. It's on my morning commutes, it's sometimes in the office, and things like that. It's in moments where I'm not near a camera, unfortunately. So these are my reactions to everything that unfolded. Specifically, these are my reactions to episodes 9 through 12, because that's when it gets crazy, except for something that happens later on in the season, which we're definitely going to get into, and I have some notes because there's just so much going on, so you might see me looking off a little bit. Jesus, guys, there's just there's so much here. We're going to jump into major spoilers, so be prepared for that if you haven't seen Dexter Season 4. Also, get subscribed if you haven't already, because we're fully diving into Dexter. Whether it gets worse or not from here, I don't care. I love this show. I love it. It's so fucking good. And if you haven't started watching Dexter, either leave now or you just want to watch it to watch, fine, but you're going to get spoiled. It's that good, and definitely get subscribed because I'm going to be covering the rest of the seasons. I'm going to be covering both spinoffs. I'm going to be doing a ton of video essays. I have a ton in the pipeline already. I'll do those after, of course, we get through the seasons and things like that. But my God, there's just so much. I think one of the things that Dexter does best, which is kind of crazy to say, is they have so many plot points going on in one season. It feels like a mess, but it all kind of works right now. That may change, but this season had so much going on, whether it was Christine and Quinn's story, whether it was Batista and LaGuardia's story, whether it was Dexter with the art guys who he ends up killing, whether it was Frank Lundy and Deb, whether it was obviously Dexter with Arthur. My God, there was so much going on. I didn't even talk about Rita in that mix. There are so many moving parts, and it all just comes together really fucking well. I don't know how else to word it. It's just solid in every front, and I can't say that about a lot of other shows. I can't say that about a lot of other things. And yes, I think this is an example of when one season of one show it's just dynamite. Every show has that. You could point to a lot of other shows where there's like that one season or that one episode. A prime example is like Ozymandias with Breaking Bad, which is the third to last episode of that series. It's the best episode of TV, hands down, point blank, period. This is like that, but on a season level. It all works so well. I don't even know where to begin. So I'm just going to brain dump here. John Lithgow as Arthur, as the Trinity Killer, was just so good. He is just such an incredible actor, and he was such an incredible villain because there's so many mixed emotions you have for this guy. Obviously, he's disgusting. Obviously, he's a bad guy. He's a terrible father. But you also get this sense of I don't know if the word is remorse, but you get this sense of understanding for why he is the way he is. And he does such a good job of playing this terrifying bad guy, but also one that you kind of understand and sympathize with. He has this playful energy like a kid because obviously his childhood was ruined when he was 10, just like Dexter's, which is a phenomenal juxtaposition because the two of them, which I think was a general theme of this season, the two of them play off in just different versions of one another. Obviously, Dexter looks to John Lithgow's Arthur as this in a sense, like a father figure of serial killing in some weird way, someone that he could like learn from and stuff like that. And obviously that all goes awry by the time we get to the final episode, and more specifically, the final shot, major spoilers here, where Rita is found to be one of the victims of the Trinity Killer. Like, bro, what the we are going to come back to that, but we got a lot to talk about before that. But my God, that's so sad. That really sucks, because I loved Rita. I also loved, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, I loved Frank Lundy. Like, freaking Frank Lundy was just the man. Special Agent Frank Lundy's so good. Now they're both gone, and I'm like, damn, bro. Like, look, it's great when a show kills off the people that it needs to, when a story serves its purpose and it does a good job of that. Like, there's some times where it's necessary. I think it was necessary. I think their characters had a fitting spot for where their demise was and all of that stuff. But I don't know how the show was going to go on without them, because they were such an important dynamic, like Dexter having the secret with Rita and all of that stuff. It was just so wonderful. I don't know how many seasons you could have done that anyway, so I'm glad they did it here. But on the other half, you have Frank Lundy. These are the two biggest deaths of the season. Frank Lundy, who was just such a fascinating character, whether it was because him and Deb had this very interesting relationship that was very fun to watch, or whether it was the fact that Frank Lundy, in some way, shape, or form, had to have known something about Dexter, because he wouldn't have kept him that close if it wasn't for that sort of weird, eerie suspicion hunch that he clearly had for the guy. Those were two just phenomenal characters that it sucks to have seen wasted on screen, but it fit really well, and I'm glad, because that's what good storytelling does. It puts characters in the right positions for something like that to happen, where you got a lot of them, but you want more and more, but then they take it away from you. That's good writing. That's good storytelling. This had all of that. And it's obviously not only that. We're going to talk probably more about Frank Lundy and stuff later, but there's just so many more themes that this season explored, whether it was Dexter killing a clearly innocent man in the guy who was the photographer who was famous, but really it was his partner that was the bad guy. Dexter kills the wrong guy, and it sends him down an earth-shattering path, which has ramifications for the entire season, because it's like his existential crisis that he went against his code and all of that stuff. And he did the same for Arthur by not killing him ahead of time. And that led to Rita's death. That led to so much. Like, oh man. And I didn't even scratch the surface of freaking Arthur's daughter, Christine. That's a phenomenal story too. I thought that was executed really well, where she's the reporter. She's obviously trying to get inside scoop, but she's also trying to, kind of be like a weird vigilante for her dad and all of that stuff. So she ends up being with Quinn, and then it comes out, we learn that she was the one who killed Frank Lundy and shot Deb to protect her dad, but her dad doesn't give a flying fuck about her. Like, what? Oh my God. Damn. Like, I just, there are so many things that happened this season. Like, that was so good. And then the way that even panned out for Christine with Deb, and that whole apology that happened where Christine ended up killing herself after the fact that Deb couldn't forgive her because she had nothing left. My God. Like, phew, Jesus Christ. I now understand why you guys have talked this season up a storm. I really do. This season was just so fucking good. Like, I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch this season. This is one of those seasons of TV, I guess. I mean, it's a shame it took till season 4 to have a season this dynamite, but this is one of those seasons of TV that will stick in my mind forever. It's one of those seasons of TV that I will never forget, and I will constantly go back and watch. Just like how there's episodes of, let's say it's The Walking Dead, that I go back to watch all the time, or like Ozymandias, or I don't know, Plan and Execution from Better Call Saul or something like that. This is ingrained as one of the greats. This is just one of the greats, because there was just so, there's just so much. I didn't even talk about Batista and LaGuardia. I loved both of their characters. I've always been a big fan of Batista. He's been great. He's great in the ensemble of cast. And LaGuardia, while I didn't exactly love her, she was always fine. I never had a problem with her or anything like that. So to see them get married seemed like, on paper, like if you think about the story trope of that, it seems forced, but for those two characters, it oddly just fit. It was a little interesting that they got married in the office, for sure, but like, it ended up working and fitting in a way that I didn't really think was possible, and I'm really happy that they did that. Just all in all, it's another prime example of good writing. my God. And then one of the best examples of good writing is obviously the relationship with Arthur and Dexter. That was just done so well, despite me having a few questions about how it all worked that way. Like, Dexter did get a little dumb here and there, but obviously it was because he was thinking for his kids and all of that stuff. But in the end of the day, the dynamic there between Dexter and Arthur was just really fucking solid, the whole thing. And I was very surprised at the fact that Arthur didn't catch on sooner, that Dexter was lying to him the whole time, saying he was, what was it, Kyle or something like that? And then we get the final reveal at the end where he's like, hello, Dexter Morgan. Oh my God. Like, come on, bro. I'm surprised I'm surprised that the Trinity Killer didn't, like, see that coming at all. But I liked their dynamic the entire time, where obviously Dexter was playing this guy who was just out to do good deeds with this good family man. So he played along with that. And then Arthur, of course, believes him. But then Dexter ends up saving Arthur's life instead of just letting him die. But that had instant ramifications on literally everything that happened. Like, dude, this is just so good. It's so good. I don't know how else to word it. And I'm sorry, I might just be rambling and ranting over this praise of this season, but like, Jesus Christ. And okay, now we have to talk about the two big things, because I already kind of talked about them, but we're just going to talk about them in just general, and I'm just going to brain dump here. Frank fucking Lundy, dude. I loved his character. I know I said that earlier in the video, but I just did. He stole every scene he was in. He had this interesting chip on his shoulder that just made for just a fun person to follow. And it just sucks that he went too soon, because I would have loved to have seen where that could have went with the story, with essentially Frank maybe finding out that Dexter is a real serial killer. But no, it was cut off, and that sucks for Deb, Deb isn't my favorite character of all time, but just watching her go through that when she finally found someone she really, really loves, even though Anton she also really, really loved, that's a whole other thing. But it was just so sad to see that, because he came back, he was just dynamite this entire season, and then he gets killed so abruptly by Christine, which really sucks. I mean, it really sucks, but again, it was good storytelling. Now the other one, and before I get into this, so early on when I was planning a video, I think I was talking about season 3, and I wanted to get a snippet of something from the first episode of season 4 because I had already watched it. I Google image searched Dexter season 4 episode 1. And for some reason, when I did that, one of the fucking Google results that came up in the image suggestion, you know how sometimes like on Google, it'll show you the images, but then there will be like a little tab of like, I guess it's like AI suggestions of other searches to click into. One of them said Rita's death, Dexter season 4. And I looked at that while I was on episode 1 of season 4. I was like, no. And I was like essentially gaslighting myself into believing that wasn't true, because I was trying very hard not to get spoiled anything. So I saw that as I was watching episode 1. And for the entire day that I've been watching this season, because that's pathetic that I've watched the season in a day, whatever. For the entire day that I've watched this season, I was just telling myself that was just AI. Like, there's no way that's real. Like, even though, to be fair, it was kind of obvious in the storytelling that she was going to die. Like, it wasn't surprising that it happened. The execution, literally and figuratively, was shocking. But regardless, when I saw that, I was just trying very hard to pretend I didn't see that, or it could have been fake, or it could have been a lie or something. But I unfortunately had that in the back of my head the entire time. I didn't see any pictures or anything like that. Thank God I didn't see any pictures, but I saw that text and I was like, oh, she's going to die. But in my head, I knew she was, but in the back of my head as well, I was also like, nah, it was just fake or whatever. But again, the storytelling of this season being about Dexter being a dad and in the really big focus on Rita and their relationship, as well as Rita cheating a little bit this season. It was all pinpointed on something bad is going to happen to Dexter's family life. That's what this season really was about, and it was exploring those themes pretty directly. So it definitely wasn't a surprise, and I'd be interested to know if I would have felt that way had I not accidentally seen that Google image result. But to me, because I did know that, and just in general, I felt like it was kind of obvious she was going to die. I just would have never seen it coming the way it went. Like, Oh my God. Again, a prime example of phenomenal storytelling, like just genuinely phenomenal storytelling. They wait till the last like 30 seconds of the season to reveal the biggest ever plot twist that could have ever happened. Rita, his wife, was the last victim of the Trinity killer. That's nuts, bro. That's nuts. And I feel so horrible for Rita because she was every symbol of good imaginable. Every other character in this season has flaws. Rita maybe a little bit, like she lied about the fact that she was married at like 16 or something like that. She cheated a little bit with the guy. She clearly has some hang-ups there for sure, but she was entirely innocent, just a genuine good human. And you could tell that by the way she was forcing therapy, forcing him to go to AA, Dexter to go to AA and stuff like, or not Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know what you call it, whatever, therapy for that. But just the way she carried herself, the way she was a single mom, the way she clearly cared for Dexter and just wanted him to open up. She was every symbol of good, and she got treated so horribly for something she didn't even know why. That's so sad. But it's also beautiful storytelling. And it was one of those examples of deaths in a TV show. I'm not going to get into spoilers of other shows, but there's a death in Better Call Saul in the final season of that show that had me jaw dropped and like I couldn't move. This was a death of that same caliber. There's other shows that have similar people like that, but the closest I could come realistically is Better Call Saul's death. That's a big one. But man, like this was one of those, and unfortunately I watched the scene at work. So I didn't really like get to show it that much, but I was like just shocked for a very long time. I'm still shocked at the way they executed it because like I said, I knew it was coming, even though I wish I didn't know it was coming. I knew it was coming. The storytelling was pinpointing that to happen very clearly, especially once Arthur found his location. Like it was definitely going that way. Found out his real name was Dexter Morgan and all that stuff. But it still was just so shocking to see. And I feel so bad for the baby who was put in the exact same situation as Dexter. And that raises a whole series of questions for the spinoffs to come. Like, oh my God. Like now Dexter's baby was born in sin the same way that Dexter was essentially, even though there was an age gap. Still, oh my God. And then I didn't even mention, I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around thoughts. Deb found out about Dexter's mother and the fact that Brian Moser was related to Dexter and all of this stuff, but it still panned out so well where Deb doesn't know the full extent of it and she's still oblivious to it. I don't know where this is going to go. I really don't. Is this going to end up like something like Hank from Breaking Bad, where Hank finds out, I shouldn't be giving spoilers to that, but I mean, I'm talking about the story itself, where Hank's the DEA agent, Walt's the the drug dealer and all that stuff, and their stories intersect at some point. Is this going to happen with Deb and Dexter? Like, I would love for that to happen. That would be really cool, but I would also hate for that to happen for Deb's sake because the two of them are all they have, but it's really interesting to follow her slowly learn more about Harry and learn more about Dexter because of that. It's just, oh man, it's just good writing. This video is going on very long. This is an 18-minute review of season 4, and I'm just brain dumping. I could talk about so much more, but I might save some extra sporadic thoughts for some shorts because I did promise you guys I'd give reactions, and they're still in my head, like they're still coming. This is all fresh to me, guys. I fucking loved this season. It was a perfect season of TV. It literally was. And now I'm like really badly hooked on Dexter. This is a real problem. I'm going through this series faster than I've gone through anything in my life. Like Walking Dead, when I started watching that show, that took me months to finish. This is taking me weeks. Not even. It's taking me like a week. This is crazy. This is so good. Holy shit. I can't wait for season 5. I have heard this was the peak, so I know to expect. It's not the same from here. That's fine. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. You're going to find out because I will be covering it. So be subscribed if you aren't already. Let's take the conversation to the comments. And with all that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.